of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question. I'm not going to stand for it. So to the officials of Panama, please be guided accordingly.
Remember how embarrassing it was when Trump decided that he was going to buy Greenland, which, so that we're clear, was never for sale? Yeah, something tells me that's going to feel quaint by the end of his second term, in which I can only assume that he'll have made offers, lowball offers, no doubt, on half of the Western Hemisphere. Now, it's worth thinking for a moment why Trump's decided that part of Panama now belongs to the United States. Perhaps something to do with the fact that the Trump Organization is fighting a court battle over taxes in, you guessed it, Panama. According to Newsweek, in June 2019, the owners of a Panama City hotel that was managed by Trump businesses and carried the Trump brand accused two companies, Trump Panama Hotel Management LLC and the Trump International Hotels Management LLC, of not paying taxes on their Panamanian earnings. In a filing to the U.S. District Court in New York, private equity manager Orestes Fintiklis and his company, Ithaca Capital Partners, alleges that the Trump business failed to pay 12.5% taxes on the millions of dollars they earned from managing the Panama City Hotel. They also allege that the Trump units failed to correctly report the number of people the hotels employed so that he could avoid Panamanian Social Security payments. The filing documented how the Panamanian government later conducted a tax audit on the hotel and found major irregularities. Fintiklis and his company were forced to pay the money Trump owed, the court filing alleged. Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump's threats against Panama are the result of anger that he might feel at the fact that he owes money, but knowing Trump, would that really surprise a single person on God's green earth? You see, the thing about America First is that so often it just looks like Trump first. Now, of course, Trump's absurd comments have invited the scorn of multiple high-profile Panamanian figures. Here, for example, is Panamanian President Jose Raul Mulino.
That is a manifestation of gross ignorance of history. The canal will celebrate 25 years under Panamanian hands, under Panamanian administration, on December 31st. The expansion was successfully completed in 2016. It is an expanded canal for the world, with greater capacity for the transit of ships that could not pass before, which leaves multi-million-dollar profits for our national economy. Just last week, on Thursday, I received this year's dividend check for $2,400,000,000 US. That is 100% Panamanian and will continue to be Panamanian. So, all those speculations and all that range of eventualities that are not going to happen, well, I leave them there as totally irrelevant issues and quite bordering on historical incoherence with what the Panama Canal has been, is, and will be.
He also earned the scorn of the mayor of Panama City, Mayor Mizrachi, who wrote, "Dear Donald Trump, in my time as mayor of Panama City, I have learned that collaboration is key to economic development and prosperity. Panama is one of the few countries in Latin America that shares the same democratic and capitalist values with the United States. We are and have been allies for over a century, an alliance that is not only based on common interests, but more importantly, on shared values. Your triumphant victory last month marked a new era. As such, I am excited to see how the United States will thrive under his leadership and team during your tenure. However, threatening its strategic ally and its sovereignty will likely have the opposite effect. President Molino's position on the issue is clear. There will be no retaking of the canal or any Panamanian territory by the United States or any other country. The only thing achieved is to unite the Panamanian people. You will find in Panama and its president a willingness to sit down as allies to discuss a path forward that reflects our values and our shared alliance. And if you choose another path, you will find a president and a people willing to stand strong in their country. We are not and never will be the 51st state." And in light of these thoughtful remarks, Trump responded with the diplomacy of a drunk toddler, writing, "We'll see about that," in response to the Panamanian president rightfully asserting Panama's ownership of the Panama Canal. And he followed that with an image with the caption, "Welcome to the United States Canal." I don't know how big my Panamanian audience is, but I can assure you that for as shitty as you might right now think Donald Trump is, trust me, we think he's worse. And by the way, not that this video is supposed to be a critique on the media, but when you see how our media is covering this nonsense, it might make a little more sense why Donald Trump is so eager to perpetuate it. CNN sent a push notification which reads, "The president-elect has suggested a territorial extension into Panama, Greenland, and Canada. If he's serious, it would rival the Louisiana Purchase." I'm sorry, but if he's serious, perhaps a more important point is that Panama, Greenland, and Canada are all not for sale. Seems like a more important detail than the preliminary celebration of American expansionism. And unfortunately, because we live in hell, this isn't even the first instance where Donald Trump has decided, before even taking office, that his best course of action would be to insult, mock, and deride our own allies. He's taken to calling Canada our 51st state and relegating Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to a governor, writing on Truth Social, "It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again soon so that we may continue our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the result of which will be truly spectacular for all." This comes as both Canada and Mexico have been forced to contend with the possibility of a costly trade war for all countries involved, given that Trump has decided that tariffs are a brilliant tool that he'll wield against any and all countries. And after Trump yet again insisted during an interview with NBC News that he would impose a 25% tariff on Canada unless they close the border, Trudeau clapped back, saying, "Trump got elected on a commitment to make life better and more affordable for Americans, and I think people south of the border are beginning to wake up to the real reality that tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive." And he's right, by the way. Take a look at this chart to see what the U.S. imports from Canada. Cars, tractors, trucks, and parts, machinery and appliances, aluminum, iron, steel, wood, plastics, paper, pharmaceuticals, fertilizer. If Trump goes ahead with his plan to impose tariffs, then that means that prices on all of those items goes up. That is how tariffs work. They are not some form of punishment against a foreign country. How could they be? Trump can't impose a fine on Canada. He's not Canadian. He has no jurisdiction in Canada. He is not part of their government. In reality, the tariffs are paid by the importing company. That means that when an American company imports steel from Canada, the American company pays for those tariffs. And of course, no company is simply going to just eat higher costs, so that cost will be passed on to the consumers. That means all of us. We will pay more money because Donald Trump is under some mistaken notion that a tariff is a form of punishment on a foreign country, when in reality, it is a form of punishment on Americans. In other words, we're about to pay a brand new tax because Trump is too stupid to open a book or listen to anyone with even a cursory understanding of economics. And it's not going much better with our neighbors to the south. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum was forced to respond to Trump's mistaken claim that she would stop migration into the U.S. by closing the southern border, saying that the country did not plan to close its border. Quote, "Mexico's position is not to close borders, but to build bridges between governments and communities." And look, it's important to note amid all of this that Trump hasn't even taken office yet, and already he is destroying our international alliances. But notice that he's only willing to do so with our allies. He'll alienate the US from Canada and Mexico and NATO countries, but good luck finding an example of him uttering an ill word of Putin or Xi or Kim Jong-un or Erdogan. And that's because he has no respect for democracies and all the respect in the world for autocrats, dictators, and strongmen. The global alliances that are responsible for the longest period of post-war peace and prosperity on Earth may very well fall at the hands of Donald Trump. I hope that A, the rest of the world is prepared to preserve it, and that B, those nations realize that most Americans value our global alliances, even if the incoming president wants nothing more than to be part of the autocrat club. Before you go,